Permissive parenting. That's what we're talking about in this video. It's one of the 4 major parenting styles, and I'm going to tell you everything that you need to know about the permissive parenting style. We're going to go over 3 signs that you might be a permissive parent. I'm going to show you what the children of permissive parents grow up to be like, and I'm going to tell you one of my favorite parenting stories about some of my permissive parenting friends' son that went to kindergarten and flunked because of it. So stay tuned. The strongest influence in your child's life wins. Is that you?
I'm Brad Zood, and this is Influencer Parenting.
Well, welcome. If this is your first time watching one of my videos, we're so glad that you're here, and welcome to the IP fam. The goal is to make you the strongest influence in the life of your child, because the strongest influence in the life of your child wins. See, when they're all grown up and you can't ground them anymore and you can't take away their iPhone or you can't put them in timeout, you're going to be left with one thing, and that is your influence. So we want to develop that now, and we want to develop that early, because it's the one tool that's going to serve you and your children the rest of your life. See, most parents think it's about giving your child a bunch of choices, or positive parenting, or connection, or logic, or love, or whatever the deal is. It all boils down to what you'll be left with at the end of the day, and that is your influence. That's why we're so amazing. That's why we're so different. And like and subscribe if you enjoy this video. It really does help out and mean a lot to us. So I've made other videos about the different parenting styles, and those videos are going to be linked up there. I highly recommend watching those after you watch these to get a big picture of the 4 parenting styles. But real quick, just to give you a 10-second overview, there's 4 main parenting styles. We'll list these in order of strictness, okay? Authoritarian parents are the most strict, like a drill sergeant. Authoritative parents are more like a loving coach or your favorite teacher, right? That really knew how to bring the best out of you, but gave you some tough love. Today, we're talking about permissive parenting, which I'll tell you all about. And then the 4th and most relaxed or even neglectful style of parenting is passive parenting. Now, for the most part, the simplest definition of permissive parents is that they let their children do whatever they want to do. And there are really 2 major reasons for this. Number 1 is that these type of permissive parents typically maybe grew up with an authoritarian type of parent where everything was staunch and rigid, and they made some sacred vow that they were never, ever, ever going to be like that as a parent. And they end up way overcompensating for the way that they were raised, and they just let their children do whatever they want to do. The second thing is that sometimes people just have really, really relaxed personalities, and they just like to let their children roam or do whatever they want. And it's not even really a conscious decision. It's just that's who they are as a person, and that's what ends up happening at the end of the day. So look, I mentor thousands of parents all over the world. I'm on the phone with parents virtually every single day. And this is what I always tell them. You have a personality, and maybe you have a parenting style, and maybe those 2 things are the same, and maybe they're not. But either way, you have to marry what's happening versus your parenting style versus what you want to have happen, and mold all of those things into one. For example, maybe you don't have any issues with the way your parents raised you. You have great parents, but you have just a really, really, really relaxed approach to life. But you understand that your personality type might not be the best for your child, because you know that you need to give your child structure and order, but your personality just doesn't by default do those things. So you have to recognize your personality, the type of parenting style you want to have, and then bridge the gap, whether it's doing more or even doing less. In other words, we have some authoritarian parents that by nature have a drill sergeant type of personality. Maybe they're CEO of a company or have a big job, and they're just used to people doing this, this, and this exactly at the times when they want it. But they know that they cannot bring that same personality type home to their kids. So they actually have to pare down their personality when they get home at the end of the day. Permissive parents maybe need to raise or bring a little bit more intensity to their parenting style to achieve the type of environment that they want for their children that they think is going to serve them best for the rest of their life. So let's go over the 3 signs that you might be a permissive parent. Okay, sign number 1 is that you are fearful that your kids will grow up to hate you if you impose standards on them, so you essentially let them do whatever they want. In other words, your heart and your mind are in the right place where you don't want your children to hate you, but in doing so, you make the fatal flaw of just saying, well, I don't want to do that, so you can just do whatever you want. Sign number 2, and maybe most down to the point, is that you hate telling your children no. Maybe it's because you don't want to hurt their feelings, or maybe it's because you want them to experience all life has to offer and then make some type of decision, whatever they think is best for themselves. Either way, you don't want to be a roadblock for your child. And sign number 3, I think I held up 3 fingers for sign number 2.
Sign number 2,
But this is actually number 3. You see your child like your equal and you walk around treating them like your best friend. Now, seeing your child as a friend is about the other side of the spectrum as being a drill sergeant and seeing your child as just some soldier that needs to do exactly what you say to do. The biggest issue I have with permissive parenting is that it brings your child up in a sense of false reality. Look, life has limits. We can't raise our children to think that there are just no limits. You get to do whatever you want, as hard and as big and as fast as you want, with no limits. That's not how life works. They're going to grow up and have a teacher and have a boss and have a job. And even if they're entrepreneurs and start their own company, there's still a speed limit that they're going to have to go, right? Life is about limits. This brings me to my favorite story about our friend's son, Tyler. See, they raised Tyler as permissive parents. They kind of let him do whatever he wanted, gave him lots of choices and all that kind of good stuff. And guess what? He showed up at kindergarten and just thought the world revolved around him and that he could just choose whatever he wanted to do because no one ever really told him no. Well, guess what? That didn't really fly with the teacher, and he ended up not wanting to do his work, not agreeing, not obeying, not following the group, and flunked kindergarten. The teacher had to call his parents and say, hey, listen, your child is flunking. You have to change this or else he's not going to get along in the school system. So guess what they did? As permissive parents, that was their parenting style. They had to up their game and up their intensity and actually provide some boundaries to get their son Tyler used to the fact that life has boundaries. If you train a child to think that there are no limits, they are going to struggle in life, I promise. So if you have a toddler, for example, and the one time that you do say no and your toddler just throws off the wall temper tantrums, chances are you might be a permissive parent and your child is not used to hearing no or stop or don't. We want to condition our children to hear those things so that when that happens very often, every single day, it's not battleships down. They don't just throw these humongous tantrums. So when you're out at the Chick-fil-A play place and you're watching all the other children and you watch and see moms who tell their children, hey, it's time to go, and they throw these huge tantrums, chances are that those are people that lean much more towards permissive parenting. Listen, children need practice dealing with the emotion of no. It's going to happen their whole entire life, and we want to begin to condition them early to deal with their emotions on what wells up inside of them when they hear no, they can't do something. See, when children are young, the stakes are a lot lower. When you have teenagers, if you have a teenager that's not used to hearing the word no, the consequences and the struggle is going to be astronomically big, right? And that's what happens if we raise permissive children up to that point. They're not used to hearing no, and then they run away from home and do drugs and do all those sorts of things because they want to continue going because they're used to a life without limits. So condition your children to deal with the feelings of when you say no. Some permissive parents will make the gentle step up from being a permissive-based parent to a choice-based parent. So at the Chick-fil-A play place, instead of not telling them when they need to leave, they would walk in and give their child a choice that says, hey, would you like to leave in 2 minutes or 5 minutes? This still puts some type of expectation on your child, but the danger with choice-based parenting is your child still feels in control. He's still not having to follow any instructions. And of course, he's going to pick 5 minutes over 2 minutes. And he'll walk away with the sensation that he didn't really have a true interaction with any type of an authority because no one really at the end of the day made him do something he did not want to do. At the end of the day, life is full of disappointment. It's just the way life works. You're going to have a lot more losses than you are wins in life. And that's just something that we'd be doing our children a big favor by teaching them that very early on. That's why we say at Influencer Parenting, one of the best things that you can do for your children is directly input thoughts and ideas into your child's brain. We need to teach our children in a time of non-conflict how things work, the way life works, and the way things are. Yes, we can have hopes and dreams, but we need to have a realistic approach to our children and show them how things realistically work. For example, if you're driving around a neighborhood with your 13-year-old son and he sees a really big house and thinks it's so cool and, oh man, I want to live in a big house someday. Great. I hope you do too. I think that's a fantastic dream to have. But the reality is those are for the 1% that work really, really hard or do something really, really amazing. And it takes this amount of money to have that type of house. And here's what you would have to earn. And here are the types of jobs that have to earn that. So I would love for you to do that. But here's how that works. Here's how you get from what you want to the reality of what you want. Or if you have a toddler, you need to give them a realistic expectation of what happens at the grocery store, for example, right? So in a time of non-conflict, when you're driving to the store, you're going to lay out exactly what they need to do and exactly what the grocery store is so you can have a wonderful time inside the grocery store, right? They need to understand this is not a jungle gym and we don't pull things off the shelf and whatever the deal is, that's not a realistic approach to go shopping. You have to let them know how to properly interact with a grocery store and things will begin to go much better. So I'm going to give all you guys watching this video here on YouTube the benefit of the doubt that you would never consciously take a piece of paper and a pen and as a goal for your child write out, I want to raise a self-centered child. I want my child to think that they are the center of the universe. No one would consciously say, yes, that is the approach that I want to have. The issue is with permissive parenting, that's how that actually plays out. That's what that style actually says. It's all about you. I don't want to tell you no. You can get whatever you want. Let's do this. Definitionally, that is raising your child as the center of the universe. Look, some of you need to hear this. You're not a genie in a bottle for your kid to rub so you can poof out and grant every wish that they have. That's not how life works. So what's the answer? You want to be in an authoritative relationship with your child. That's what influencer parenting is all about. In order to be an influencer, you have to have the vision. You have to know what you want to do, and then you have to spend time instilling that vision in your child, right? Influencers are trailblazers. They not only show people the way, but they lead people through that. They teach and instruct. You need to get them bought in that that's what's best for them so that they willingly follow everything that you're trying to do for them. So I hope that helped explain what permissive parenting is. Remember, we have authoritarian parenting, authoritative, permissive, and passive parenting. I'm going to link those videos again here. And if you want more information about working with me directly, there's a link to influencerparenting.com in the description. I can really fix your problems quick and cheap and help you become the strongest influence in the life of your child, because the strongest influence in the life of your child wins. So like this video, subscribe to our channel, and welcome to the IP fam, and we'll see you on the next one. The strongest influence in your child's life wins. Is that you?
I'm Brad Zood, and this is Influencer Parenting.